It is looking like Gervonta Tank Davis and Lomachenko could lock horns for November, but somebody's not happy. That somebody is Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson believes that it's this plot and ploy to keep Lomachenko away from him. Yikes. That's what I want to talk about in this video. So Shakur Stevenson, he's just been on this tirade. I've made multiple videos about it, and he seemingly has smoke for everybody online, right? And Shakur is now suggesting, because the rumors are strong, that Tank Davis could fight against Lomachenko, that basically Bob Arum kept him away. Now, if you remember in the Arum Harutyunyan fight, he wore a shirt, or at least post-fight, and the back of the shirt says something to the effect of, Bob Arum is protecting his son Lomachenko from me because I'll whoop that ass, something like that. It was like one of those shirts from the middle of the mall, like when they make the shirts in the mall and like airbrush. It was like that kind of like little quick shirt you got pressed up, right? Bob Arum has suggested that's pretty much nonsense in terms of him protecting Lomachenko. And he says, it says Bob Arum, Michael Benson, Bob Arum on Shakur Stevenson suggesting he's protecting Vasily Lomachenko from him. Quote, these guys like him don't realize other fighters have a say in things. He paints a picture, everybody is a puppet but him, like I can make any fight I want. Listen to pals, he's listening to pals and strangers on the internet, and it doesn't serve Shakur because those folks have their own agendas and are not versed in the realities of big time prize fighting. He has some good people around him, but the street people who talk to him don't understand. So Bob Arum is saying, you ninjas, you got some ninjas around you that don't know how to put together no fight, and they not making the fights. So they just talking, rubbish. Shakur's seen this and responded, because he's responding to seemingly everything on the internet. Shakur Stevenson says, basically, he's confirming, he being Bob, basically Bob's confirming that Loma's been ducking me, LOL. Where in the did you get that from what I just read and showed you guys on the screen? Bob Arum is saying that these guys don't realize that I'm not the only one in terms of making these fights, right? And Shakur somehow from that statement where he's saying you got some good people around you, but you also got some people feeding you bad information and intel that is not accurate because they don't know what it is to make a big fight. How's that confirm that Arum's been keeping? And I'm not saying that Top Rank didn't feed Lomachenko to Shakur. Basically what I'm getting at is, how did you take that response and that quote and then try to tie it into, hey, look, this proves that Loma is ducking me? It literally makes no sense. Furthermore, Shakur, his ego, they call me ego, but I feel like Shakur got a big ego, no pun intended, because if you listen to him talk enough, he keeps talking about him like they're keeping these guys away from me, and how come Loma don't want to fight? Loma is about to fight Gervonta Davis. If you have a brain and you can hear my voice, please explain this to me and make it make sense. If you were Lomachenko in 2024, you just became a champion again, stopped George Kambosos, something that Teofimo didn't do, and something that other guys that fought Kambosos, like Devin Haney in 24 rounds, didn't do. And they're trying to make a Gervonta Davis fight, which is a fight where people have wanted to see these two fight for years. It's still a hot fight. Two great southpaws, two of the highest, literally Shakur Stevenson off of his Arum Harutyunyan. Ring Magazine had him drop down to number 4. So William Zepeda, according to Ring Magazine, is ahead of Shakur Stevenson by 1 spot. But if you look at almost everybody who's respected or just that covers boxing, their pound for pound lightweight list, Loma's rated higher than Shakur based on his resume and what he's done. And so is Tank Davis. Literally Tank's number 1 and Loma's number 2. Maybe it's transverse depending on whose record. On nobody's list is Shakur Stevenson #1 that I've seen. And I'm not talking about a fan list. I'm talking about a credentialed boxing, like a boxing imprint or entity that has been in the game for 10 plus years or something. Nobody has Shakur #1. So again, let's get back to the ego question. If you were Lomachenko, you could fight someone who's higher ranked, who has a belt, so it'd be unification, just like Shakur fight would be a unification. And Tank didn't get his belt through a vacancy. Shakur did. Shakur got it because Devin moved up, and then he ended up fighting in a boring fight with Edwin De Los Santos for a vacant belt. That's how that happened. Tank got elevated because he was already the interim champion. So that's not a vacant belt. It's not the same, right? But anyway, Tank's higher rated, Tank's higher respected, Tank's going viral, Tank has all the motion, and you'll make more money, and it'll be a bigger fight. So you're gonna put it on pay-per-view. Could Lomachenko, literally answer these questions in the comment section? Could Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson even be a pay-per-view? I don't think so. I don't think that would do good, because if Devin Haney and Loma were fighting for undisputed and they said it did 150K, Tank fight anybody and do 150K plus, you know what I mean? So Shakur's never been on pay-per-view. So that's what I'm saying. It's a level of like delusion and arrogance from Shakur Stevenson. He's making it sound like the world revolves around him and his moves, and oh, these guys need to fight me or they're ducking me. Bro, you're not the it ticket. And it makes no sense in 2024 for Lomachenko to forego a Tank fight, which from all intents and purposes is just bigger, to look in your direction, and you keep putting back-to-back fights that people are saying are boring, and then he opts to fight you instead of Tank. Furthermore, I could go deeper. We could go further. Tank is knocking people's heads off. There's only like 2 guys that have survived. Only one guy that has survived 12 rounds with Tank, and that's Pitbull Cruz. And he got a head made of adamantium or something, right? So most of these guys are getting knocked out by Tank and hurt, right? So it's a challenge for Lomachenko. He is the competitor, so I think he likes the challenge. He'll gain more by beating Tank, but beyond that, Tank is like a knockout artist, so that is just a hotter fight. And speaking of the knockout artist angle, how does it make sense to say Loma is ducking a knockout artist who's southpaw, who's undefeated, who people have rated higher, and he could literally put your lights out? Shakur was punching with all his might, and he had no knockdowns, no knockouts, and hurt his own hands, according to him. He said he hurt both hands. So I don't understand the logic that, hey, I'd rather fight this guy who's very good, showed he can box, and there's a great chance that he knocks my brains out onto the canvas if I get touched with the touch of death. So I'd rather fight that than to fight Shakur Stevenson. Come on, bro. That's like, would you rather, if a person had a pencil and the person had a AK-47, who would you rather run up on? You're gonna run up on the person with a pencil. I can disarm somebody with a pencil. You're not disarming somebody that got an AK-47, and they just, you see what I'm saying? So it's just different weaponry. So it doesn't make sense that you would duck this to get that. Like, oh, I'm ducking Shakur, but I'm gonna fight a knockout artist who could do me greasier. It doesn't make sense. That's like ducking chlamydia to get AIDS. Like, like, what are we talking about, bro? Like, in terms of severity, one is higher and one is like non-curable. So it doesn't make sense, period. So I don't even know what Shakur is talking about at this point. He seems like everything revolves around him, and like people need to, like, he's like the A side, and he's the one calling the shots and making the numbers, but it's clear he's not. And to me, it comes across as almost like envy or jealousy, because there's no way that makes sense that you believe that everybody should be looking at you over bigger opportunities. And this is what Bob Arum has stated. He's like, why would he fight Shakur, which could be a difficult fight, but more of a boring fight, and he's gonna make less money. He's a prize fighter. Like Floyd said, I'm a prize fighter, dummy. I fight for a prize. And guess what? Tank Davis is the prize. Tuh.